hope there is still room in your brains for some new stuff. We had a lot of information already today. We had a lot of slides, so I'm promising I'm only using a couple of slides and then do a lot of hands-on live demonstration as an alternative to just some slides. But first I would like to give some background information about my topic, process management and case management. There's a lot about case management going on lately in the last couple of months and years. There's still a lot of misinformation out there about the topic itself. So I would like to start with some terms, some magic words. Who has ever heard about business process management, BPM? Yeah, nice. Okay. Who has heard about ACM, adaptive case management? Okay, a little bit less. Who has heard about PCM, production case management? One? Nice. Okay. Usually I get no hands at PCM, but that's pretty new. Okay, but I would like to start just with the question, how much structure do my processes actually need? When it comes down to BPM itself, so we start with a couple of terms now to go a bit into details. Business process management, in some areas, some customers, some clients really has a bad reputation. Because if you talk to customers, tell me the first couple of things coming to your mind if you hear BPM. They probably would say too much structure, cost, a lot of money involved, heavy projects, heavy systems. So you need to have like days or even weeks until you get a BPM suite up and running. So that's the typical stuff you will hear if you talk about BPM. And that's also where we started. So we had a lot of BPM, I call it traditional BPM projects. Back in the years, we started I think 2001, 2002, where all this SOA hype started, which was also the start of BPM. And we realized that you cannot structure everything. So back then, everyone was hoping for every business process, every process, let's put it into a model, let's put it into the organization, and we're faster, we're better, we're more cost efficient. And I think a lot of those kind of projects failed because of that. But actually, if you look at BPM itself, it's basically more like an umbrella term with a lot of different disciplines. So automation of processes is just one of them. So it's also about process analysis, optimization, simulation, all those kinds of things is in the term BPM. Although most of us understand structured processes by that term. And it best works with predictive work. So if you have workflows or processes in your organization which are always running the same way, which are really repetitive, predictive, meaning like you can anticipate the steps or the workflow itself, you're good to go with a quite traditional approach in structured processes. Now, we realized that there's a change in how work gets done today. So a lot of work is more driven by knowledge rather than routine. So some call them knowledge workers or case workers, where let's say decisions or next steps in a process is more driven by people, more driven by the knowledge they have, the experience they have, rather than structured processes. So for instance, if you go to an insurance company and you talk to people handling claims, insurance claims, they will tell you that nothing of what they do every day can be structured, or at least the major part of it. Because it relies a lot of their experience working in the past, similar cases, similar claims, and what to do next, and what to decide what's happening in the case, and what kind of decisions you want to take. So there's a new way of handling or supporting this type of work, and it's called adaptive case management, whatever that means, right? So there's a lot of different aspects of case management. And if we take that term to the basic level, it means, adaptive means you have the most flexibility. It even goes that far that you say design time and run time actually happens at the very same time. There is no design time. That means everything you need to do in a case is actually done by the very same people working on that case. It's more like do-it-yourself approach, meaning the caseworker is deciding which next part, which steps needs to be done, which decisions needs to be taken, even if it's distributed among different people in your organization. That's what the term adaptive case management means. So again, runtime and design time happening at the very same time. There is basically no design time. There's a new term, I think it's not that old yet, coming up, which is called production case management. It's actually something in between. It's you still have a lot of flexibility as the caseworker, so you can do make your own decisions, make ad hoc work, but also the flexibility is limited or might be limited by rules or by something we call process fragments. Rather than an end-to-end process, think about instead of from the beginning of a case to the end, it's not a straight through or structured process. It's more like a combination of several process fragments happening over time and being aligned or combined by the caseworker or some rules. So that's what we are going to look at a little bit deeper in later this talk. So basically, production case management is good to use if you have some part of your work, we call them patterns, or process patterns that emerge from case to case, so you can reuse them. So it's a good idea to structure them, but not as an end-to-end process. It's more like a process fragment. And so you can think of production case management as a collection of small pieces of the process which are then executed either by some rules or by the caseworker itself. I will show you that in the live demonstration so you get an idea how that could actually look like. So it's more like we call them semi-structured processes instead of a full structured process, where you have some freedom, some flexibility as a caseworker, where still your knowledge or expertise is the driver behind decisions and next steps, but still you have some parts of your work being structured. So again, if you take the example of insurance claims, you could say, when I need the expertise and an external expert to look at my case, this kind of process might be structured because it's always happening the same way. You need an expert, you need to assign that work to the expert, he needs to look at the information, make up a decision or a proposal, whatever, and then you take the case back. So this part can be structured. However, when you need the expertise, if you need it, might be driven by some rules, saying if at least one car in an accident has total wreckage, I definitely need the expertise. This might be a structured rule, right? But still, if that rule doesn't trigger, the expert or the caseworker still could say, those pictures look weird, let's start the expertise anyway. That's exactly what we do in our platform called edorasone, which is a combination of business process management and adaptive or production case management and some content management, because alongside a case you always have content, you always have data, could be structured or unstructured, doesn't matter, just data. Could be documents, attachments, images, whatever it is. So this type of content, it's also really necessary if you want to have a case management solution. So the platform actually supports both structured as well as unstructured processes. That's exactly the combination that I was talking about, where whatever it's possible to structure you can use, but you don't have to. So it's more like a work management platform rather than a business process platform itself. If we talk about the case concept a little bit more, you can see that the case is actually serving as kind of a context, right? So you have a context around your work. Within that case, you can have as many tasks as needed, whether they are created ad hoc by the caseworker or created out of a rule that triggers a task, or it might be as part of a process. Doesn't matter, because the case is serving as a digital file, as a digital context around those informations, those work items. You can have attachments, any types of documents, images, audio files, video files, whatever you need, which is related to the case. And of course, you can start as many processes as you want, even in parallel within that case. And finally, you can have information that actually gives the case the context, like the amount of damage, the number of the customer or police, the customer name, whatever you need to work on your case. Cases can be related with others, can have references, you can collaborate, you can work on a case. Not only one person, several persons could actually work on a case to finally solve it. And the most interesting thing that we are moving on towards is a little bit what we already heard this morning about big data and analytics and case management. Think about that the case management tool would actually look in the existing past or past cases to find similar patterns, to give you guidance in terms of, I found a couple of similar cases to the current one, and the next step was A or B. So it could make suggestion based on analytics of the data from the past. So if you look at the case lifecycle management, that's what's more about. It's not a structured process itself. It's more like a dynamic way of creating tasks or sub-processes that you need in terms of working with a case. So there are different triggers that could come up with a task or a process fragment to fire. So this could be done manually by the caseworker or any type involving in the case. This could be an incoming email or document. You can send an email to a case. This could actually trigger some new work to do. There could be a service or any type of event that is happening and thus triggering something in the case. And of course, which is quite important as well, are deadlines or time limits. So think about you had, I need more information, this kind of process fragment, right? And then the customer needs to provide you some information, and he has some kind of limit, like 10 days. Within 10 days, he needs to provide the information. If this information is not coming in, you want to trigger something else, like I want to escalate my case, I want to move it to another level, or someone else has to do something, right? So this could be event-based or time limit-based. What can I actually trigger by that? So I could create single user tasks, so just think about the single user task instead of writing someone an email, but with the advantage that the task has the context of the case, has all the information of the case. And it's obviously stored within the case, so you don't lose it. You don't lose the trail of it. You have the full governance, you have all the information, what was happened in the past in the case. Of course, you can also trigger services, rules, and the most interesting part, sub-processes, or what we call a process fragment. So basically, like I said, the expertise process could be triggered by either a rule or by manually, or manually by the caseworker. So this gives you an idea about not being a predicted, structured, step 1, 2, 3 type of process. It's more like a dynamic setup or combination of process fragments that happen over time, triggered by events, rules, or the caseworker itself. If you look at the platform, it's built in a modular way, so it's more like a framework, it's more like a platform or a process framework instead of just a monolithic suite that helps you to build your domain-specific solution. Because case management, more than BPM, is more than just a middleware. It's always in relation to your specific types of data and where that data comes from, and also a lot of business applications you already have in place. So what we have is several modules. We have the engine itself, which is an infrastructure type of scalable engine. It was designed also to scale in the cloud. We also support edorasone as a service in the cloud. We have the modeling capabilities. Those are all graphical modeling tools, only using the browser. So it's fully HTML5 JavaScript based. And we have an intelligent form engine, allowing you to create, design forms and views you need for your case management, your tasks, your processes, or to start a case, everything you need to enter or model structured data. You can use those modules on their own, or you can use them as a platform. And of course, integration is important as well. So we have several integration points. We have extension points you can directly plug in into the engine. If you want to plug in your own rule, your own service, your own system, that's pretty easy to do. You can use the REST API if you want to integrate on that level with your business applications. We even support UI integration if you want to come up with your own business-specific view, probably you already have in a business application. And we have some data integration points as well. So everything was made to be extended, to be integrated, and as I said, it's more like a framework rather than a monolithical big suite. We could sometimes we also call it pluggable PCM. So that means you can plug in whatever types of services, tasks, or processes you need if whatever the platform offers itself is not enough. So you can use listeners. Everything is event-based. So for instance, whatever happens in a case, you can listen to those events. If something happens in a case, I want to do something. Or if a new piece of work is created in a case, I want to know. Or if a new task is assigned to someone, I want to send that person a notification. So this is kind of an event you can listen to and hook yourself into, and thus create the solution you actually need. And the interesting part is also, if you want to use that as a platform in your own landscape, you can even use or plug in a service repository. You can even plug in your own widgets on a view level, and of course some kind of event handlers if you want to. So for instance, we've done an integration with SAP, and by using their meta information, so they're basically their dictionary, instead of point-to-point services, and I will show you how that works in the design or the business designer. So you can create or invoke a service, an SAP service, get data from SAP. Instead of doing that on a low level, technical level, you can do that on a more high level or business level. All right, what I'm going to show you right now is the rest of the talk we do as hands-on in the platform. So I'm going to show you some simple app with no further meaning. It's a little bit coming from the insurance world, but a really easy way of a claim. So It's not that complex as the real world is, but just to show you some mechanics, some basics of the platform. So what we're going to have is we have a case model, which actually has some structured information about a claim. Then we have the platform actually predicting some process fragments that might be interesting to start, like I need more information, I need an expertise, or some kind of ad hoc work. And then I'm going to show you how that can be modeled and how easy that can be changed and adapted to have kind of like an agile manner of how your processes can grow from the bottom up. Okay. So I'm going to log into the edorasone platform. Everything, as I already said, everything is web-based. So the only thing you need is a web browser, and we use HTML5 and a responsive layout, so it also runs on mobile devices. And even within the graphical editor, you can create responsive UIs, responsive views or forms. I'm looking currently at the standard dashboard for a caseworker. So he sees all his cases that he's assigned to, a list of his current work or tasks. They might come from any type of case, documents that I'm involved in, and of course I can customize my dashboard by creating some data-related queries, like show me all open claims that needs to be resolved by tomorrow and the damage is bigger than 10,000 or whatever. And of course you can customize the dashboard the way you want. Let's look at the other roles first. We also have some real-time data, real-time KPIs. So of course this is just a basic views here, but you can customize them as well. But the interesting fact is that we are based in real-time data. So we use real-time data analytics to build KPIs, to even build or try to figure out similar cases to predict some work that you want to do. So that's one area of the platform you could use. Then we have administration. So you can create accounts. It's a multi-tenant capable platform. You can create your own accounts, groups, roles, and users. Or, of course, you can integrate with an existing identity management system like Microsoft Active Directory, LDAP, or whatever you want to have. We even support single sign-on. And the last role, let's say, is the modeler. So if you want to use modeling, we will see that a little bit later. Let's say if you want to use if you want to create process models, forms, case models, email templates, document templates, and stuff like that. But first of all, let's have a look at an existing example from that one is coming from e-government. So it's coming from e-government in Switzerland, that's why it's German, but I'm explaining a little bit. It's about, I want to apply for, or make an application for a sign to my company, which is, you need an approval from your local government. And previously, you had to fill out, to download the PDF, print it out, fill it out, and file it to the community. But now you can do that online by filling out this form online. And it's even integrated, as you see here, with Google Maps, for instance. You can attach any type of information like images that document your case. You have structured information, or the form itself might be dynamic in a sense. If you add data here, or types of data here, or if you check that box here, there's some new fields that you need to fill out. So it's more intelligent than a paper form can be, right? But now we would like to actually create another case, which is using this production case management approach. I have my let's call it an insurance claim. I have some case notes I can put in here. So basically this is unstructured content. You can describe your claim. You could actually select any images. I have the name of the customer, the number, damage amount, and the location. So basically I started my claim, I started my case by filling out this form. So the form itself can be modeled as well. We will take a look on how that works in just a minute. So what we see now, we have all the information about my claim. I have some structured information, some unstructured information, doesn't matter. I have documents, images. And here I see that the system actually shows me available next steps, let's call it that way, next actions. So in my current case, I can use an ad hoc task. Let's say instead of writing my colleague an email, please call the customer to get some more information, I could start the more information needed process. So let's do that. Oh no, first let's say we currently don't have any open work or any open tasks. So I need more information. I can assign that to a colleague or a group. I want the support team to take a look at that or whatever. And now I see this open task. I can also directly see which part of the process I'm currently in. So I see, this is, as I said, it's just a small process fragment. It's not an end-to-end process. So I started the process. I'm currently in the task where I have to provide the information, and then it goes back to the initiator where he has to review the information and decide that's exactly what I needed, I have enough information. If not, it goes back, and so this is kind of an information loop, right? And as you can see, this process fragment starts over here and ends here, but it's part of the bigger end-to-end process. And I triggered it manually, and we see that this could also be have been triggered by a rule, for instance. So okay, I now have this open task. I could also create an ad hoc task, just instead of a process, just a single task instead of writing an email. But now the more interesting part is let's have a look at the model behind. So that's pretty interesting. If we go here, we can see that I have a rule that says if we're in state setup and if the amount of damage is bigger than 10,000, I have the expertise process fragment that I can use. So let's change the amount of damage to 20,000, for instance. And now we see we have a new process fragment that we can use, which is the expertise process. Because I now changed the context of the case. I now changed some information in it. In our case, it was the amount of damage. And now I'm able to actually use this specific process fragment, which is not available if the damage is less than 10,000 in my demo case here. So that's one of the possibilities where structured processes and dynamic adaptive work comes together. And still you have the ability to react on events, on information, and adapt rules on it. So next step we want to do is, we would like to change something. So I'm going to show you how easy you can add a new information, a new data field. For instance, we want to add a new field in here. So we have customer name, number, amount, and damage location. So we want to add a little bit more structure to the damage object, let's say to the object. So I'm going to the model, Then I can open the graphical form editor, where I can actually edit my form. As you can see, we currently have the customer name and number. So first of all, let's make the number a mandatory field. So I can do just by clicking the red star in here. And let's add a new field. So we just add a new text field in here. We call it object something like that. And just to give you an idea how pluggable that is as well, we can not only use generic widgets which are provided by the form engine, like text fields, numbers, date pickers. We even support nested subforms if you want to reuse parts of your forms, collections, lists, predictive fields, auto-completion, stuff like that. The interesting parts are those fields here. So those has data like customers, and the customer has data fields like name, customer number, address. The address has a location or city, and the zip code and whatever. Those fields can actually be directly plugged into the modeler as well. So instead of taking a generic text field, I can just simply drag and drop the name of my customer, for instance. So we have some out-of-the-box integrations, as I mentioned before, with SAP. So think about data you have in SAP becomes available as your forms or even as part of your process immediately without any technical knowledge you need to know if you want to display or manage that data. So I now added a new field. I save the form. Then I go back to my app. The platform actually allows you to build apps. So an app is contained with several models. Could be process models, forms, views, email templates, document templates, case models, whatever you need to support a specific business process or a specific domain in your organization. So now I changed the form I'm going to deploy. And then it's actually it's deployed to the platform, so it becomes live during runtime. If we go back to our existing claim, if we reload it, you will see nothing happened, because we also support versioning. That means once you change anything in your app, anything in your model, process model, form, or whatever it is, and you redeploy, it's actually deployed as a new version. So that means existing instances are still running by default on the old version. Specifically on a process level, that's pretty important, because depending on what you changed in your process, this might lead to inconsistency with your existing data or your existing instances. But of course, in our case, we would like to migrate. So I'm going to my case model, and I'm going to migrate. That means I now migrated the existing cases to the newest version, and as you can see, we have the new field now. And the old data, of course, is still valid, is still there, because we use detaching of data and forms, so they are loosely coupled. So that means you can create new data fields. You can even drop existing fields. Doesn't mean that the data itself is removed. So you would have to do that manually. So okay, we have now our new data field, and now I could even go there and use that field within my rule if I want to. And as a next step, we're going to do the same on a process level. Of course, we also have a graphical process editor. It's based on a BPM and ACM. That's a worldwide standard for business process management. And the same applies here. So we have standard elements coming from the BPM and 2 standard, like user task, a service task, and we also see pools and lanes here to support or visualize the different roles in the process being involved. And here we also support high usability. So for instance, if you want to add an extra step in between here, you simply just drag and drop a new task. And that's how easy you can adapt your processes. But another point that I also would like to show here is those specific, that's what we call a service repository. So for instance, in my case here, I added some services that are served by my SAP system. So instead of having a generic service that I need to specify as a developer, you know, like the web service endpoint, credentials, the URLs, WSDLs, and whatever it's needed to actually invoke the service, this is coming from meta information that my target system is giving me. So instead of doing that, I can, for instance, just add a new service, which is actually searching, in my case, searching for a contract in SAP. So instead of all those technical information that I need to provide, I can do that on a higher level. So I can say, that's the contract number that I need to fetch from SAP, or that's the customer name that represents it, or whatever I need to provide to that service to be invoked. And you can even plug that in during runtime. I could even go at runtime, at design time, and fetch all those informations from my system that I integrated with. All right. So again, all those models and informations are part of the app. You can even stage app. By default, nobody would go to the production system directly and modify those models and directly deploy them, although technically speaking this will be possible. You're not going to do that. But we also support staging, so that means you're going to do that on a development platform. You directly develop and test it, simulate it right away in your environment. Then you can stage it to test environment, pre-production, whatever you need in your organization, and finally go into the production. To support your processes and cases. And that's if you have the capability of combining the structured and unstructured world, and you have the ability to fast adapt your models according to business needs or according to user feedback, then you have a really powerful way of agile processes to come live instead of a week or month of projects and coming up with the end-to-end processes, which usually never fits right away. That's a more easier way to support business processes in an agile manner in your organization. All right. So that was my part about adaptive case management and process management. Are there any questions right now?